Action.
Hey, Maria.
Hey, Lisa.
Guess what day today is?
Today's Friday.
Now you know what that means.
It's the
Diversity Duo. Let's do this.
A little dancing.
A little dancing. So I'm excited. You've brought us a wonderful guest today.
I sure did. Patricia Juba. She is a friend of mine. She's also a neighbor of mine. And she has two incredible businesses, one of them being a non-for-profit. So I want to introduce you to Patricia Juba, and I want her to talk a little bit about herself and what was her inspiration for the nonprofit.
That's one. Hi. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you
Welcome,
so
Patricia.
much for having me here. And I am more than willing to talk about what started the nonprofit. It actually started from my life. And I had been homeless before with children. And I had a bout with addiction more than 28 years ago. And this is my means of reaching back to other women that might had struggles like I did, to know that they too have a purpose. And there is a plan for their lives. This is not the end of the road for them. It's just a temporary pit.
That's wonderful.
That is wonderful. And I hear you, and what you're saying is that their past do not define their future.
Absolutely not. It
That's
doesn't.
lovely.
But
That's
it
lovely.
feels that way when
It
you're
does.
in it.
That's right.
Absolutely.
It feels like that's the end of the tunnel. Everything is dark from here.
Absolutely.
But that is not a true statement. And more women need to know that. Even if they're not homeless.
That's right.
Even if they're not had any addiction, they need to know that.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes we cower. We're so busy being the nurturers, being the comforters, travailing out and doing things for our children, our families, and everything, and then don't do enough for ourselves.
Yeah. Can I just share one of my favorite stories
Please.
around
Absolutely,
addiction and around recovery is when you are in it, when you're in that hole, and people that you know jump into people that you know are trying to talk you out of that hole from up top, and they say, just step up and step out, and you say, but I don't know how to get out, until that other person who's in recovery comes along and they jump into that hole with you. And the response is, why did you jump into the hole? Now we're both stuck. And it's, I've been in this hole. I'm going to see you out of the hole. And I think that that's an amazing gift that you're making that connection for people based on the life that you've lived, in showing there's a beacon of hope in how you help them get out of the hole. That's
Yes.
incredible.
I love that.
Yes, thank you for sharing that.
Patricia, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how I know that you recently retired too?
Oh,
how you make
congratulations.
that transition from being a full-time employee to now running your two businesses?
Well, actually, it was a God shift. And I'm not old enough to retire yet. I took a leap of faith.
Ooh.
Trusting the shift that I was feeling in my core, that I need to do this full time. I need to build up and have the transitional house that God has shown me for many years ago that is coming to pass.
So when you say transitional house, let's go into some details. What does it mean? What does it look like? What does it look like today? And then what's the plan out?
It looks like having an actual home where women can come and truly work on their selves, their body, their spirit, and their mindset, to have a shift in their lives to, a positive change. It looks like getting work ready, maybe further education, touching into their own spirituality, not dictating, but allowing, to have that open door to do that. And they'll have the children. I want it so there's a dining room where families can come around and eat as a family and really get that down home mannerisms back.
Yeah. Yeah.
as coming from the scatter. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Right.
I'm not going to prepare. I've even collected and still collecting recipes from women and building a life worth living cookbook.
Oh, that's great.
For just that. It's not for resale. It's not for duplication. It's for preparation for those who've never had the opportunity to cook a meal in the kitchen. It's fast food or it's whatever.
Yep.
It's handed to you.
Yep.
It's a sandwich here. It's a
Right.
soup here.
Right.
But nutritious meals.
Patricia, I love that you're talking about opening a transitional home to all women, regardless of kind of current status.
Yes.
That's working on a well-being for themselves and for their children.
Yes.
Because I think the focus on children in transitional homes, it's one thing when there's a lot of opportunities for women to go into transition. But to capture their children with them and see that, I'm just envisioning the kitchen and cooking a meal, whether you're in a temporary situation around food, around home, and to be, I'm just like engulfed with multiple women with many children and opportunities to
Different
cook and
backgrounds. Absolutely.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's an opportunity to learn from one another.
Absolutely.
It can recall back when they were small and their mothers. And, favorite meals
Right.
and things to that nature. It will trigger a lot of things. It could go into a negative way, but I'm looking at it as a positive community. And to
Sure.
really build a true community where neighbors know neighbors. And in the house, you are all neighbors.
I can envision your vision.
Thank you.
Envision it.
Thank you.
A long table
Yes.
with different families
Yes.
sitting there,
Yes.
sharing their cultural dishes,
Yes.
asking the kids, how was school today or how was your day today?
Exactly.
And hear all that humming coming from one room in a house. I can actually smell it,
Yes.
see it, and hear it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. What a beautiful picture.
That is a beautiful picture. And, you were talking about the potential of having negative, right? And we do know that because we talk culture
Yes.
all the time. And when we talk culture, we see that there's maybe some rubbing up that doesn't always iron itself out. I guess those are the things I'd love to hear. How are you going to address that? How is nonviolent communication being brought into the home in a way that makes it functional for all?
So, and this is what is so important to have a positive team that's
Right.
on the same page and see the vision. Because I'm looking for the wraparound service to address things like that. Because some people, they come in and they have hardcore and this is it and this is how it's done.
Yeah.
Until they can break that stronghold.
Right.
And see this is a safe place to share what you know and learn what you don't.
Amazing.
Make sense?
It makes
does.
sense.
Yes,
It does.
It makes sense.
It makes sense.
Some conflict resolutions there in your
Yes.
team, because I know there's going to be times where, because this is the nature of people.
That's right.
They come already comes with preset notions,
Yes, exactly.
and you don't get to choose your friends. No, wait. There's a saying, and I can think of it right now. You know how I screw up the saying. Like this new family, this will be a family kind of environment.
Yes.
And you know how they say you don't get to choose
Family.
the family you now have, or something like that.
No,
What is
I
that
know what
dish?
you're.
Yes. Oh my God.
I know what you mean.
And then, anyways, what I'm trying to say is this will end up being your family,
Yes.
your friends, and it would be a great environment as long as all the check and balances are there to
Yes,
to
exactly.
teach, to help, to advise, to counsel.
So, Patricia, I'd love to know, how do people find the transitional home that we were discussing? How do they find it? How do they get into it? How long are they invited to stay? And I'd love some details around maybe some of the programs. I think we've been dancing around programs, but What are some of the programs that you have currently or you have in mind for?
Well, what I have in mind, let me roll back.
Sure.
I'm envisioning that the stay would be from 6 months to 18 months.
Oh, that's a nice stay.
Yes.
That's a good time because change doesn't happen like this.
You're absolutely
We would
right.
like to. We would speak that. Oh, I
Yeah.
just changed after
Yeah.
27 minutes of being homeless.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So that's the range. That's what I've heard in my spirit. 6 months to 18 months. And then it would be reevaluation if there's still no housing, if there's still no growth, because I want them to receive a certificate at the end of their stay to have on a piece of paper that they've completed something till they get to their next something.
Absolutely. Will Pathway to Purpose assist the residents of your program to obtain housing? Is
Yes.
that one of the programs you will provide?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I spent 23 years in property management. I came out in May of 2023. And as of yesterday, it's been 2 years.
Wow, congratulations.
15th.
That's exciting. Yeah, really just understanding how do we find Pathway to Purpose? How do we encourage others that are looking for that assistance that you're offering? How do they find you? And what's the decision? If you could walk us through maybe what the process is for if I'm interested. I want to touch on the women that are out there that are still kind of in that place of I don't have the world is against me. I don't have decisions that I can make, right? When people are that low, it's very hard to kind of rise and accept help, and two, accept a beacon of help that comes with this much, because what you're offering is this much.
Yes, I understand that. So how they would find me, it would be referral online.
Okay.
Because it's all under the umbrella of a Life Worth Living Corp. I plan on, and in the works of, making the connection through the DTA, through different avenues where they know that we have this service. And when we have the home, which I can't wait, that this is an opportunity to make a difference in your life. There will be mentorship. There will be coaching. There will be faith-based services. And according to and not limited to whatever faith you're in.
Wonderful.
That's
So
amazing.
I
it's
just
not
wanna
restrictive.
DTA is the Department of Transitional
Oh, I'm
Assistance.
sorry.
Nope,
Yes.
that's okay. Just want to make sure. I don't know that it's called that in all the states, but that's what it's called here in Massachusetts. Is the
Okay.
Department of Transitional Assistance.
Yes.
So you're looking for grant money to assist in
Absolutely.
the acquisition of the land and of the home.
Yes.
How many bedrooms? How many people will you look forward to homing?
My big picture is 20.
That's a good
with
number.
a breakdown of a certain amount for a woman with one child, a certain amount a woman with 2 children, 3 children, and up to 4.
Okay,
So it's manageable.
that's great.
So, what do you need in order to make this dream into reality? So, our guests, the people are going to be listening to this.
Yes.
If they want to help, what is it that you need to make it a reality?
Finances, a building, and land.
Okay.
And you're looking in Taunton, in that area,
I'm looking in Bristol County.
Bristol County. Okay, perfect.
Yes,
perfect.
as long as it's near a bus line, so nobody's restricted.
Absolutely.
I do want a vehicle for the home that I can make that secondary until I get the home land and the opportunity to build out how I'm envisioning for the families that are coming.
Is there a model of something that exists in one of the other counties of Massachusetts that you're saying, that's it?
Haven't seen it yet.
Haven't seen it yet.
I've only seen it in here.
So I have never heard of it either, and that's the reason I kind of asked that
Yeah.
question. So I want to kind of speak to the Massachusetts people and really anybody else. But what an opportunity to give some dollars to, and we're going to have Elijah put that up on the bottom
Okay.
of where they can go ahead and hopefully make some donations. But what an opportunity, because we're talking about a lot of different services. We're talking about
Yes.
children. We're talking about homelessness. We're talking about women. We're talking about food. We're talking about the ability to stop systemic, I don't dare say issues. That doesn't feel like the right word. And I mean something more than issue. But if you don't know better, you can't do better.
That's
That
right.
is absolutely
And
correct.
what I'm hearing is you're going to have a kitchen table, a dining room table,
Yes.
where women and children are learning to do better,
Yes.
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 right? I think that's the message that we want to add some
feel-
dollars to.
To
So
feel safe, to
feel
feel
safe.
love.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. And feel community.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
oftentimes, there's so many people who've grown up and still feel like they're isolated.
Yep.
That they cannot connect because of fear of being ridiculed or judged or just looked down upon. But community is different. Know that, there's love for one another. And even with the children, there's that old saying that it takes a village.
Yeah.
But if you're not in the community, where's the village coming
Right.
from?
Where's the support from the village?
Yeah, the village.
Yeah.
The village turns into a gang.
Right.
Okay. Can
Yeah.
I say that?
Yeah, you can say that.
You can say
Yeah,
that.
no, it's
And
good.
if you don't, if you,
Maybe-
later
You
on
can
you say,
speak
yeah, I don't want that, please remove it.
Yeah, I hope you're going to want that because I think we need to speak the truth, right?
have to
that
speak
is
the
and
truth.
you are
Yeah,
right.
it is the
a
truth.
gang can be enticing.
Yes.
No, can't. A gang is
Enticing
Yes.
because of the sense of community,
Yes.
the sense of support.
Security.
Yes. We can't build bad systems and then say, oh my gosh, what a bad system's in.
Exactly.
We didn't put a good system in place.
Exactly.
Okay.
So-
You have a good system.
Yes.
Yes, it
Okay.
sounds
Yes.
lovely. Patricia, I know that you have a gala coming up.
Yes.
And I want you to talk a little bit about the gala and how can any of the listeners buy tickets for your gala.
Okay. So we're having our third annual gala for a life worth living and Pathway to Purpose. And it's going to be August 9th, 2025 from 6 to 11. You can get tickets right on our website at alifeworthlivingcorp.org. We are going to have a fabulous time. You're dressed to impress, as my daughter would say. And the keynote speaker on this year, I'm excited to announce, is Jeanette Juba, which is my
lovely.
daughter.
Nice. That's
She's
wonderful.
watched me. She's my middle girl, and she's watched, and she wants to be the one to take over.
That's amazing.
Perfect.
So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about Jeanette. How old is she?
27.
20, perfect age.
She's 27. She has her own natural care skincare line called sistertings.com, and that is on purpose. That name is 'cause my husband is from Trinidad. That's where the Juba comes from, and he couldn't say three. He just couldn't pronounce it. So she put the play on words, and that's her company name.
That's great. I
That's
love that.
amazing. Yeah, me too.
I love
She's
that.
a social media manager for A Life Worth Living. She's
Okay.
on the board. She is active, and this will be her first keynote.
Wonderful.
Perfect.
So I'm
Perfect.
super excited about that. And then another thing that's happening at the gala is this is my second edition of an anthology called Through My Mother's Eyes.
Mm.
So that book is going to launch on the 9th, and I have 7 other co-authors
Yes.
on that. So I want to bridge the gap for those women we serve to see the strong women that we came from.
It's amazing.
You see how that connection is? And, we're really talking about the resilience of our mothers. This year, my husband is in it, talking about his grandmother who raised him in Trinidad.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Can't wait to take a look at that. So
Yes.
I'm excited for this gala. We'll see you. I'll only
Yes.
see you until 9 p.m. No offense. I don't do anything past 9 p.m.
Okay.
But looking forward to the 6 to 9. But
6
for,
to 9, yeah.
for those grown-ups, they can stay 6 to 11. So, Patricia, mental illness is a significant issue in the United States.
Yes.
And I'm wondering how you're giving pause to that when we bring communities together. When we talk about people in recovery, when we talk about people walking down the street,
Yes.
we don't need to separate anybody. There is mental illness.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about how you're giving consideration to that for a community growth?
Sure. How I envision this happening is to have several social workers and therapists in the wraparound service. There's one that I am specifically looking into who does hers online, but she travels. And then there are community folks who are therapists and social workers to make sure that we have that connection in line for even the intake process, to make sure that women are properly served and their children.
Nice. That's wonderful.
Yes.
That seems daunting.
It
Seems
does.
daunting to but once I'm a procurement person, so once we have too many people involved with things, I get a little, I get confused.
Because like I was saying earlier, it's not just drugs, it's not just
Right.
alcohol.
Right.
It's really mental health.
Right.
And it's important to get to the root of the matter of whatever you're dealing with and not just get haircuts from the top.
No, that absolutely makes sense. Maria has her phone in her hand, which means she's written down some questions.
Yeah, Patricia, I know that you have this second business because, you're a multi-talented woman. And can you talk to us about Growth Arise Consulting, please? I know that you're one of my collaborators. She's a collaborator with M&A Supply Diversity Consultants. If you want to learn more, her bio is on my website.
Okay, thank you. So Growth Arise Consulting is my coaching business, and where I do one-on-ones. I prefer one-on-one to really get to, like I was saying earlier, get to the root of the matter and build up. As well as I do empowerment workshops. One was called Empower Her. I do team building workshops. I've done that. And this last initiative that we're doing is called Woo-Sao. And you remember that saying Woo-Sao just to relax, right? But this stands for WOOSA, stands for Women Overcoming Obstacles, Seeking Abundance and Healing.
Beautiful. Wow.
So I'm very big on talking on positive affirmations, to speak life into ourselves,
Right.
as opposed to grabbing onto every negativity that passes by us and all of a sudden we have a new word that's debilitating, as opposed to the words that give you power and strength and encouragement. So that's the mind shift that I bring about through Growth Arise Consulting.
That's amazing. So we have spoken about your two businesses, the non-for-profit and the for-profit. Talk to us about the book and where, if anybody that's listening, can get their hand of your books.
Okay. Right on my website, I have my first book that's called A Life Worth Living, because that's what God showed me, that this life was worth living and worth fighting for.
Absolutely.
And so it's my journey until getting to a life worth living. I'm also been in a couple of collaborative books called Transforming Pain into Purpose, and now I'm in the third edition of that story. In the first edition, I talk about my personal journey. The second edition of this book, I talk about my relationship with my dad and how it went from he was like my Superman until there was so much distance and not knowing anyone in his family that it was gripping for me. But then I learned that I had a Heavenly Father that loved me unconditionally and showed me that love. And I'm in a bigger family than the ones I didn't know. I had a bigger family in the kingdom of God. So that's what I talk about in the second one. And this third one, I'm talking about my journey with my sister who passed away last July. And just talking about from the moment I found out until she passed. So,
sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So, would you like to tell us a little bit about her? I don't want to overstep. I don't want to.
No, you're not overstep.
Okay.
I love her. I love her. I'm the youngest of 5 girls.
Oh, wow.
So, and they're big age difference. They're 9, 10, 14, and 15 years older than me.
Oh, my goodness.
So I was a little tight when they were all grown. So Tina was her name. She was the youngest for 8 years until I came. She was funny. She was authentic. And she's a kid around with me a lot because, I was the toy. I was a dolly, so to speak.
Right.
So if you ever remember Jordan Marsh?
Yes.
She had a Jordan Marsh bag beside her bed, and she said, "You see this? This is where Mommy really got you. You weren't born here." Things like that, okay?
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Yes. I remember going to games with her in high school, in Brookline High, and so excited that I'm with my big sister, and she's like, "Shut up, sit down." No, I loved her. The moment that I write about is when I felt something was wrong. I said, "Let me call her." And she wasn't answering. So I called her again. Still no answer, so I left her a message. "If you don't answer me, because I'm feeling something heavy, I'm going to do a wellness check, and that includes the police." And then she called me. And that's when she told me.
Oh.
And that I take it from that moment to the time that I spent the night with her at the hospice facility at Friday into Saturday. And then she was gone Monday.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, all the way to the end. Yeah.
Mm.
There's one thing that is very profound and will stay with me for the rest of my life. She said, "I'm happy you're with me, and I'm glad that you're my sister,
Oh.
and I'm very proud of you."
Oh, that's lovely.
She said that before, and then she couldn't speak at the end. But when she knew I spent the night and I was, I kept checking on her, and she just looked at me and her eyes said the same thing to me. "I'm glad that you're here with me."
What a gift.
Yes.
What a
yes,
gift. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to write about it.
No, that's a wonderful thing to write about. And I think if
Yes.
you haven't been through something similar, it seems uncomfortable for people.
Yes.
Right.
And unfortunately, if you have been through it, you can see just how meaningful to
Yes.
both people that act
Yes.
is, that moment. No, that's amazing, and I can see why and how that would convert into you giving back into
Yes.
women. I mean, I don't want to just say women. I want to say the community, because ultimately you will have given back to the community.
Yes.
But you are doing it through the vehicle of assisting women and children.
Yes.
And that speaks to my heart, that's for sure. How did you two meet? I just dawned on me, I don't know how you two met.
We were at a Christmas party from the Taunton Area Chamber of Commerce. Shout out.
Okay.
And I saw her sitting there by herself, so I walked up to her and said, "Hey, I'm Maria, and I'm with the board of TAC. What's your name?" And till this day, we became fast friends. Till this day. And then she told me about her 2 businesses, and then I asked her, any of them certified? She says no. And one of her businesses is certified. We're in the process of certifying the non-for-profit.
Wonderful.
And my question, do you want to expand on how we met? You want to add something to that?
No, because that's exactly right.
Good.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, because there's a lot of clients that they wonder, what does it mean to become certified? Can you tell us a little bit what that certification has meant to you?
Sure. First of all, it made me proud.
Oh.
It really did. It made me proud that I had a designation that people recognized. And being in the field of property management, that's what we look for, the certifications. And I've got all the certifications in that, but having it for my own thing, for my own company, meant something more personal. It's like, yes, I've accomplished something. Yes, I've done something. Yes, I can serve in this capacity. And said, yes, I'm a certified woman-owned business, minority business, small business, all of the above. So that's the main thing I can tell people. I referred you yesterday.
Thank you.
I love that you brought up recognition, because there was an article today about this entire anti-DEI movement. Whatever, let's put it aside for a second. But Target just today spoke out about what their stance is on DEI. I'm not going to go into details. Today is May 16th. Please Google it. But the long and the short of it is that they have stated they don't really need to define their DEI process or their DEI initiatives, and they don't need to measure on it because they mean it. And my response to that really correlates to what you just said about that recognition. And I made the point this morning that as a gay kid in the 80s, it was imperative for me to see pride flags on cars. It's imperative. I was in the suburbs. I drive by and I think, oh my gosh, there's another one of us, right? It's important. It's important to see people on TV. Your representation matters. Your representation matters. Right. And certification means what we measure grows. And if we're not measuring and growing certifications, then we're not measuring and growing certifications. And if we don't want to recognize, then we are not recognized. The act of doing has an opposite effect.
Yes.
And we need to start paying attention and screaming about that recognition. I love that you started with recognition. I've been wanting to tell that to. We haven't even talked about that all day, and I wanted to say it. So there it is.
That's why Target lost so many customers to the point where the CEO, they dropped his benefits 25%. We're going to cut this. So
why do we have to cut this? Because this is reality.
Representation does matter. Especially when, it's people like us who's going in there spending our hard-earned money to buy what we need from you. And if you're not going to represent us, then we'll take our money someplace else. It's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that.
We need to feel welcome and wanted.
And recognized.
And recognized.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And let me tell you, of all the organizations, and I tried to defend them a long time, I don't know. I believe that Target understood exactly what they were doing when they went out and they said, Black businesses, come on in. We're going to give you shelf space. And guess what happened? We rose
all of these
companies hand over fist, right? Because we all who recognize and see the importance of DEI and recognize that we want recognition go running. Oh, you have shelves for black businesses? I'm going to run in. Yeah. I run in and I buy my goods. And then to say, no, it doesn't matter. You used it for sales.
Right.
If you use it for sales, then you know what's up.
We're watching you now.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, thank you for letting me digress into that little. That was. I've been sitting on that all day.
Me too.
Patricia, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you wanted to make sure that we addressed? I feel like there's so much about the transitional home.
Yes.
And I want to make sure that you feel heard and validated for taking this ride out, that we hit on everything that you think is important.
I think that we did hit on so many things, and I'm super grateful for that. And the biggest thing for me is people supporting this vision of Pathway to Purpose. And they could do it on my website.
Patricia, one of the things that Maria keeps telling me is that I have to be connected with you on LinkedIn, and I'm embarrassed that we aren't, because she raves about some of the things that you talk about and you promote. So I'm going to make sure that I'm going to look you up by name, Patricia Juba.
Yes.
And I will ensure that we are connected. But I'd love to give a shout out to anybody who's watching. Get connected, because the words of wisdom that I understand that come from you are pretty remarkable. And I look forward to reading
so much.
Anything you produce.
Okay. That's awesome. And being on this podcast, I'm going to share that I do have a podcast for entrepreneurs and authors. And the whole reason why I started this podcast, Under a Life Worth Living, was to show those women who are still hiding behind the shadows, saying that they're not good enough.
Right.
This is when I interview in a manner where it's conversational, as we are, but so the person can tell their journey, how they started.
Right.
And I believe it's going to be an encouragement for women who are like, yeah, maybe I can do that. If she started like this, or if he started like this. It's not just women on the podcast, but that's the whole gist of it.
I love that, because I think worthiness, right? How we're born with worthiness,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But by puberty, man, we get rid of that for sure.
Exactly. Chop it up.
Right? Chop that
up.
worthiness out.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't go into college with any worth. No, I'm being facetious, but I am kind of serious also. But I think that we spend our adulthood trying to recognize where is it and what is it that were lessons learned that or the mechanisms that we put in place to keep ourselves alive going forward that we don't need. I don't need all the skills that I built. Some of them don't work for my 57-year-old self. And how I get rid of them, and the act of getting rid of them is where I find some of my worthiness, right? So
Yes.
I love that that's part of the messaging.
So Lisa, I just heard from Patricia that you're going to be. Okay, you don't mind if I say that, right?
Absolutely not.
See, she's laughing.
Oh, that's staying.
Okay. So Lisa, I just heard Patricia inviting you to her podcast.
Yes.
And I want to share with you that it was very lively. I enjoy my time with Patricia doing the podcast. She was asking me questions that I really, didn't think about beforehand. So it's pretty much like this one. Is sit back, have coffee with a friend, and let's talk about what makes the world a better place because you're in it.
Oh,
Yes.
that's lovely.
That's
I am
right.
looking forward to it.
I am as well.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Now, when we talk about coffee, may I bring my cafe crema?
Cafe.
Cafe crema.
Café crema.
My
Que
café
me den
crema.
La taza llena. Yes, yes.
No, I am looking forward to it. I think I haven't had an opportunity to dive in yet, but I'm looking forward to.
Oh, good.
To the conversation.
That's exciting.
It is. I find you to be pleasant and wonderful and joyous.
And warm
Thank you.
and ooh.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
So, Maria, this was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much to Patricia.
Thank you, Patricia.
But before we let her go, why don't we talk a little bit about what you're got a couple takeaways for us?
Sure. Well,
This was heavy today.
it was heavy, but very informative.
Yes.
And Patricia has given me a vision of what Pathway to Purpose is all about. I want to be part of that mission. Actually, I am because I sit on the board. But I love the fact that it's all about community,
Yes.
family, caring, being there for one another. So my takeaway is that I will do everything I can to help her with that purpose, to bring it to fruition, whatever that need is. I also heard about her books. I actually have one of her books, her podcast.
Is your book signed? Well, I'm going to
Yes,
make
it
sure.
is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I was going to make sure I had one. Okay, go ahead.
Her book is done. And you know how passionate she is about community and helping others. Those are my takeaways.
Those are great takeaways.
What are yours?
I think my takeaways are she is filled with love and joy. It emulates off her body. And I think, I have a friend who talks about you can't reach a higher place if you didn't have a lower low.
Ooh.
Oh, yes.
And I think that's what I get from you. You've been there. Why not do this?
Right.
And I think that I'm going to take that away from my day. I'm going to bring a little joy away from my day.
Let's finish with the word joy, because I really love that word. Just to say, put a smile in my face.
Yes.
So Patricia, thank you so much for taking time to come and talking to us, to sharing your vision and your purpose with us.
Yeah, Maria, let me jump in on that because, again, thank you for your mission. Thank you for your vision of what you're going to do from the women, from the children, from the generations that will benefit from this. Your vision is absolutely amazing. I'm from Plymouth County, so feel free to jump on over if this is something that you'd like to take care of over here, because we've got some issues over on this side too. So, but it was absolutely a pleasure meeting you, and I look forward to us really communicating outside without cameras. So
Okay.
thank you. Thank you for that.
I'm looking forward to that as well.
Thank you for making the trip to Marshfield Community Media. This has been absolutely fantastic. The word that comes to mind whenever I'm with you is joy. And every time I say joy, it puts a smile on my face.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. You are such a great friend. I hope that you have enjoyed this podcast today, this episode. Please go on LinkedIn and connect with Patricia Juba. I will leave you with my favorite quote. Let's continue to amplify diverse voices and foster meaningful dialogues. Until then, this is Maria. Thank you.
I'm Lisa. We're the Diversity Duo. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. All right.
This is how we do it.
Oh my God, this is fun.
That we cannot even